And we are live. All right. Welcome to another episode of the iFilmmaker podcast. My name is Ariel Martinez. And today, Mr. Ceratelli is not with us, but we have a good treat. We have Mr. Chris Ray back on the podcast. How are you, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. Good. I was trying to think the other day. When was the first time? How long ago were you on the podcast? I think we're relatively new.
Yeah, I want to say it was less than a year ago, right? But internet world, internet time, that's 6 years.
It was episode number 34 where we had you.
What are you on now?
This is episode number 95.
Wow. That's good, man.
95. We've been going at it, which is really, really cool. So glad to have you back on the podcast. Real quick, let's do a quick scan of NAB. What did you like? Well, I already spoke about, what I thought, my thoughts and everything, what I saw. I know you were there for the first day on Monday.
Yep.
What stood out to you outside of at NAB?
You know what? Martin and my buddy Martin and I went and we were looking for lenses specifically, light kits, and we were excited to see what wooden camera was dropping. So the thing that I think we walked away most excited about was those new lenses Nice. Have you heard of those?
Yes. Is it Nice or Nisi?
Maybe it's Nisi. Maybe, you know what? I asked him that, and I actually can't even remember what it is right now. But
okay, all I heard was Nisi. That was actually the first time I heard
Nisi. That's probably Nisi. So
okay,
we tested those lenses. I don't know if you saw those at the booth.
Yeah, we were playing with those on my buddy's A7S Mark II because they're full frame lenses.
Yeah,
they're full frame cinema lenses.
Yeah, and the thing I liked about them too was that each lens was with 100 grams of weight of each other. So if you're shooting any gimbal stuff, you don't have to rebalance very much. It's all going to be right there. So I want to get those out in the streets and really see how those feel and how they look.
Nice. And currently, you already have cine lenses, don't you?
I've got, like, Martin has the Leicas and the Sigmas, and then I've got like Canon L series is what I use for a lot of stuff. But
okay.
I'm always like using other people's lenses, but I'm looking to get my own set.
Gotcha. Nice. And yeah, I was looking at the Nisi lenses as well. Beautiful stuff. I got to shoot around with it a little bit. There's a lot of really, really nice stuff. So what about in the lighting department? What did you see there?
ICANN had some really good stuff. And then so did Manios Distribution. They do the Cartoni stuff. And then the light company, I can't remember their name right now, but they had a really good panel light that has a V-mount on the back. And I think they actually won light of the year at the show.
So there's Aperture, there's Intelitech, there's ICANN with their lights. There's I can't think of any other lights that were out there, but there were a bunch more.
There's so many, so many.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
What about camera wise? Did you see anything special with the new cameras? I know that like Blackmagic, the new Pocket Cinema 4K was
I don't know if we could call that a pocket camera anymore, can we?
Yeah, people keep saying that. I mean, I don't think it's if you take away the pocket from that, you're gonna have to take away the Mini from the Ursa Mini. Totally. It's like at this point it's just a name. It's comparing it to its bigger brother, the regular cinema camera, which is much bigger, but yeah, essentially you're right. It's a much smaller camera.
Yeah. I wasn't really looking for other cameras. I mean, having a Red already, and then having a GH5 and having GoPro. I mean, those are the three cameras in my bag right now. Yeah. One thing I was looking at was that I have an Epic W right now. So seeing the Gemini seems like a much more better fit for what I shoot on a daily basis and with the cropping factor. So that was something I wanted to see in person.
Nice. And what were your thoughts? Because I went to the Red room. It wasn't even a booth. It was a whole room there.
Yeah.
What did you think? They had them side by side right there.
It looks awesome. Better in low light, and then the fact I can shoot at 5K and not punch into my sensor, but go at higher frame rates. Where right now I'm going 8K, and I can't go above, I believe, 30 frames per second. So I'm 99% of the time I'm shooting in 6K format, and I'm cropping into my sensor, and that's killing me. It's killing my clients. It's killing everybody that is shooting with me. You know, so seeing the Gemini come out, it was almost like, wait, this is the perfect camera. The low light thing, I'm not really after it for that. That's obviously a plus anytime, but the cropping factor is what really got me.
All right. Well, that sounds pretty interesting, dude. I didn't actually think about that. I didn't even know that was a new feature that they introduced in this camera.
Yeah.
That's
I think
cool.
I mean, I'm not shooting 8K ever, you know, so.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So actually one of the things that impressed me was that after all the cameras were the monitors that they had there were crazy sharp. It was incredible.
Yeah.
So I pulled out my phone. I went to take a picture of it. Like I got up real close to, I think it was a picture of a chameleon that was on there, and the picture on my phone looked like it was a professional picture. Like you can tell that that's a monitor that I'm taking a picture of, which is very, very impressive.
Was that at the Red booth or Small HD, or where were you?
No, that was at the Red booth.
At the Red booth, yeah.
At the Red room right there. That big TV they had there was tack sharp.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure they brought in the best TV possible for that.
Oh my God, they had to display their stuff for sure. So before we get into the topic of the day, which we are going to talk about the GH5, I just bought it, and man, do I have some things to say about that. Just want to remind everyone that is listening right now that we are live currently. You know, if you didn't get the notifications because you're not subscribed, this is also a video show, so you can join the conversation online on our YouTube channel at the iFilmmaker podcast YouTube channel. Go ahead, check that out. We're talking with Mr. Chris Ray, and it's at Chris Ray Films on Instagram. You can go check that out. What's your website handle? I'm sorry, your website URL?
Chris Ray Films also.
Oh, awesome. ChrisRayFilms.com?
Yep.
All right. So you go ahead and check that out. So yeah, let's get into the GH5 because unbelievable. So this camera has been out for a while. Has it been a year already since this camera came out?
Yeah. It's for sure. Been a year, right?
Definitely a year at least. I was already impressed with the GH4. The things that have always deterred me from going in that direction was the low light and the small sensor, right? So those two things have always deterred me from these cameras. And then so the GH5 dropped, and then I see beautiful image, which I've always known the Panasonic GH line have always had great image, but the Micro Four Thirds sensor is something that I was just always so scared of, and the low light performance. And then, you know, seeing all this footage online, it's just become more and more attractive. And then the biggest feature I think that really impressed me was that in-body image stabilization. When I saw it, I could not believe that people are telling me they're shooting handheld and getting the results that they're getting. That was phenomenal. It was like, it definitely took it to a whole nother level. So it's funny because on our last episode, I had mentioned that how disappointed I was with Sony because they had still not released the A7S Mark III. And I think
a lot of people are upset about that.
Oh my God. Oh, don't even Chris, that's a whole nother conversation, buddy. So don't get it started. So, you know, I was super, super upset that had not happened. And I had mentioned that I'm going to give them up to Cinegear for them to do it, which is like, what, like a week away, 1 or 2 weeks away. But I just couldn't, I couldn't take it because I actually had a trip coming up to the Cayman Islands that I recently took. And I'm like, man, this would be a perfect opportunity to try and put it to the test. And if I don't like it, I can always return it. So I did that. I went ahead, I bought it. I took it over to the Cayman Islands, and my goodness, am I never going to return this camera.
Yeah.
It has absolutely blown my mind. And, you know, the GH5, the image stabilization is every bit as good as they say it is.
Absolutely.
My goodness. And you know what? I was really leaning on the GH5S for the color, the quality. It's a little better quality, better color rendition. But I couldn't get over the fact that it doesn't have the image stabilization. And I have a couple of, you know, lenses that are my favorite, which is the Sigma Art series lenses that they're my favorite, and they don't have image stabilization. So I kind of definitely need that. So that's why I went with the GH5, and man, I was so happy with that purchase. So, before I get into all that stuff, you've had the GH5 this whole time. You've been shooting on it. You were just telling me something that actually blew my mind. I told you that, you know, if I'm shooting internal, I'm not going to go back to the FS5. I'm going to keep the FS5, obviously, for bigger, longer projects, for whatever it is. But for running gun stuff, the way I'm always shooting, I have the GH5, like that, way better picture quality, hands down. You know, so
absolutely.
Give me your thoughts on it. Like, you've had it for a long time
now. Well, you know, I wouldn't say I've even had it for a long time. I actually, I got it pretty recent, within the last 6 months. And then I just did a trip to Latin America for 3.5 weeks with DC Shoes. And that was my first trip I've been on in probably the last 5 years where I didn't take my Red camera. So I was 100% on the GH5 the whole time, and so was the other filmer. And like you, my mind was blown, and for different reasons. One, because when I'm always shooting at the Red, the files are so large and huge, and I'm filming these skaters not only do tricks, but I'm filming them also just hang out and, you know, talk to the camera and things like that. And when I'm shooting with the Red, I'm constantly thinking in my head, oh my gosh, this file is going to be 10 gigs in size, and am I going to have enough hard drive space, and this file is way too big, am I going to need it? But the GH5, I was just worry-free, 2 card slots in it, film all day, roll on everything. I came back with more footage from that trip than I ever have any other trip because I wasn't limited.
That's so awesome, and that's important.
Very important, yeah.
When you're running and gunning, you don't want to have to worry about storage limitations, you know?
Yep.
That's a huge thing, especially like for me, for documentary work. And what kind of project was that? I don't know if you.
So that was like a skate tour. So we shot a lot of demos, but we did a full street edit that's coming out on the 9th. So that will be out here in a few days. But
nice.
You know, I just wanted something that I can have in my hands and around my neck. So if something funny is happening in the van, I can capture that. It's not so large to where if we're out skating somewhere, people aren't, you know, saying, hey, this looks like a production. The GH5 being so small, that helped a ton.
Nice. So, and have you been able to edit those 2 images together from the Red and the GH5?
Yeah, that's another funny thing, is that's what triggered me to really want to buy one, because Martin Phobes that I work with, he had one before I did. And we were looking at shots from the GH5 with the Red footage, and it looked so similar that it was kind of killing me, because you spent all this money on a Red camera, and then you see this little camera, and you're just like, oh man, you know. But there's a lot of things the Red does that GH5 obviously can't.
Of course.
Touch. I mean, fixing up when you're in the half sun, half shade, and you want all those.
That dynamic range.
Yeah, the dynamic range is incredible, obviously, and it's funny because I came back on a trip and I'm like, dude, GH5 is the camera. And then after using the Red again, I was like, wait, okay, here, like I was getting ahead of myself, you know. So I think you have to use the right camera for the right purpose and the right trip and the right shoot.
So for those that shoot Red, or for those that are trying to see what they're missing out on the Red, so the way I like to explain it is that, you know, I think at the end, what the Red really gives you is that flexibility in post to fix images, to really dial in the look that you're going for. However, you know, I like to kind of shoot relatively flat. But what the GH5 is they've done so well, and I'm talking about Panasonic in general, is their color science is really getting up there. Like, they're really getting me very close to, I guess, where I want to start when I start grading. Like, you know how you have to first color correct and then color grade. They make my color correction so simple So simple. Like I really barely have to touch the image and I can go straight into the color grading that I want to do. And that was just amazing, amazing. Something else that's really good about that camera that I have not seen on any other camera is the focus peaking. Very impressed.
Yeah, really good.
It's crazy accurate.
Yep.
And there is no camera that you can show me that, at least that I've experienced, even monitors that I've used. I'm comparing it to like small HD monitor. I'm talking, you know, the Anima Shogun Inferno. I can't use the focus peaking because it's just not good. So I have to rely on the sharpness of the screen to give me a proper focus. But the focus peaking on the GH5 is incredible. Like it's dead on.
It is. It's really solid.
It's really, really good. And then not to mention the brightness of the monitor, of the flip out screen.
Yeah.
For that is really, really cool stuff.
Well, I think the fact you can use the eyepiece is my favorite thing too, because it even helps. Even though you have the built-in stabilization, having that against your eye and your face is, you know, that helps it even stabilize it even more.
Yeah. So I went ahead and indulged myself a little bit. So I got the camera.
Yep.
And I went ahead and got the cage. I got a nice side handle for it.
You got the wrong cage though. Oh,
I did. What cage?
You got the wooden camera cage, man. Like
wooden camera.
Wooden camera one is I'll tell you why too.
Tell me.
Best cage I've ever used, and for this reason. If you're using a Metabones adapter, it's got a little piece in the bottom that has a little support bracket that comes in and pushes that up, and it locks it in place so it will not wiggle and it will not like wear and tear. Like when I've used Metabones in the past, those things will break all the time because of switching lenses on them and the lens pulling on the weight. And it's the way that the top handle can just come off and on and everything. It's the best cage I've ever used.
Really?
Yep.
That's interesting. I got to check that out then. Obviously, I got the small rig cage because the price, you can't compete with the price of the small rig. Like, have you had a small rig before?
I don't think I have actually.
Yeah, the cage alone was under $100, so that's why I'm like, let me check that out. I've had other small rig cages before; they're pretty solid, pretty solid stuff. And then the handle and everything. I have a cold shoe mount though that's wooden camera.
Oh, there you go. There you
I don't know.
So they're giving those out at NAB too.
That's exactly where I got it.
Yeah.
Listen, don't give away my secrets, man. So the camera is so impressive. I have not installed the Vlog yet. Do you have that in your camera?
Yeah. I love the Vlog. I didn't use it on the skate trip. But if we do a shoot where there's two guys or two or three of us shooting on a GH5, and it's a specific day lifestyle shoot or something, we'll shoot on Vlog, and then that way when we're doing color, it'll all match up perfect.
Nice. So now it records. Now I had to buy a couple different SD cards now because the files have become very massive compared to what I'm used to. Compared to what I'm used to. Now it goes up to 400 megabits per second. That's a pretty high bit rate.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm sure it's nothing for you considering.
Yeah, for me it was like a step back, so it was kind of funny, and I was like,
right.
I'll take this all day, and wait, this card can go straight into my laptop, and I don't need a card reader. So for me, it was just was super convenient the whole trip. And another thing too is the variable frame rates. I was really excited about that.
Oh yeah,
because we shoot skateboarding in a 60p. So and I like to shoot a little lifestyle in a 24p, and like let's say 48 frames per second, I can easily just switch over and that fast. On the GH5? On GH5, yeah.
I guess I haven't learned how to do that part. I'm still learning this thing.
Yeah.
How's the have you tried the time lapse feature on there? I know it's built in.
You know what? I feel like we shot some stuff with it. It's awesome. It's as easy as can be. Everything on the camera was like pretty simple to get to once I figured it out, because I wasn't a person that used the GH series before the GH5, so the GH5 was my first Panasonic one.
Yeah, this is actually my first Panasonic camera as well. Very happy I went with it. And what amazes me though is the price point. Like,
absolutely,
my goodness,
Yep.
My goodness, way better image quality than my FS5 by far, for sure. Better than the A7S Mark II. I don't know, man. Sony needs to step their game up because my gosh, they're really they're losing a lot of
well, they're winning the low light, right? I mean, that's what everybody's hyped on Sony for.
Yeah, I guess, but now the GH5S came out, so with no image stabilization, so it's kind of gotta. I mean, honestly, at that price point, I might end up picking the GH5S as well.
Just for your night shoots, I guess, right?
Just for the night shoots, and I'll have I have a couple lenses with image stabilization.
Yep.
And then just for those shoots, I'll go ahead and use that. But my goodness. Anyways, so right now I have it paired up with like I told you, my favorite lenses right now currently are the Sigma Art series. So I fell in love with the 18-35 Sigma Art 1.8 with the speed booster. It brings it down to a 1.2. And then also this one here is a 50-100 f 1.8. What kind of lenses, like when you're doing your shoots and stuff like that? I know you said sometimes you borrow cinema lenses, and are you using those same lenses for the GH5?
A lot of times when I'm out skateboarding, I'm shooting on Canon L series. So the 24-105 is what I'm using 90% of the time. A Canon 8-15 fisheye looks fantastic on there, and then I have a 50 mil that's looks super sharp on there, obviously also.
Got it. And one thing I noticed though, because I have the 24-105 as well, I have the Mark II version of that lens, which is gorgeous. When that image stabilization on the lens is turned on, the one in the camera is turned off.
Yeah, so I've had a couple lenses don't actually like connect and read, where you actually have to kind of cater to the lens actually being the stabilization instead of the camera.
But that's weird though, because I've turned it on. Like if I turn it on and then I go into the menu, it's so I've had the IS in the camera turned. It's automatically turned off and it's grayed out. The on button is grayed out, meaning I can't turn it on. The IS on the lens is turned on, but if I disconnect the lens for a little bit, I turn on the IS on the camera, then connect the lens. Now they're both turned on.
Oh.
And they work even better.
Oh, wow. Okay, I haven't tried that yet.
And it works even better. And so they're both working. They know how to work.
Yeah.
It literally looks like a tripod, like your camera's on a tripod.
That's crazy.
But when I turn off the camera, turn it back on, it's grayed out again and it's automatically turned off. I don't know why they won't just leave it on. It works.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's just Metabones.
Could it? Oh, you think it's a Metabones thing?
I think it's Metabones.
Okay. Because they both work terrific. They work terrific together. So I guess what you have to do is I think I turned off the camera first, disconnected the lens, turned on the camera without the lens, then turned on the IS. I don't know. There's some weird thing there where
I just skip it and just be like, all right, when I use my 24-105, IS is based off of the actual lens, So when I put my 50 mil on, it's internally on the camera. It works. So it still looks great either way.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it looks terrific. I think the IS on the Mark II version, I told you about that lens.
Yeah, absolutely.
24-105 Mark II. Is that the one you have, or you still have the?
I still have the Mark I. Yeah.
Okay.
Mark I, and I love that lens.
Yeah. It's no, they're gorgeous lenses. But yeah, man, I really honestly I cannot say enough about this camera. Like I'm honestly, wow. And I was surprised. I thought that there was a record limit on there.
Yeah, I don't think there is, right? I think it's
no. Yeah. I actually recorded past 30 minutes. There was more. I was super surprised.
Yeah,
because I thought that there was. Otherwise, something about taxes, like if it passes 30 minutes and they have to charge it as a video camera. What's the deal with that? Do you know? Or
no, I actually never heard that before. That there's actual rule about that. That actually,
from what I understand, like SLR cameras, the reason why they usually they don't pass 29 minutes of recording it's because that if they record more than that, then there would be considered an actual video camera, and then it has to be taxed as such or something like that. I'm not sure what the exact details of that is, but that's the extent of what I understand.
Oh, it's interesting.
As to the reasoning for, you know, the record limits on all these other cameras. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a great camera. I mean, a lot of kids hit me up asking, hey, what camera setup should I get? And I'm young, I'm still in school and I don't have a budget. And I'm like, you cannot go wrong with the GH5. And it's not that much money to really come up with to have a solid camera to where now you're able to make a legit commercial. You're able to get legit shots. I mean, it's a good camera.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. So I don't know. Have you ever used any of the Sony cameras? Any Sony Alpha cameras?
No, I haven't been. Like when I kind of went to Red 5 years ago, that's what I've stuck with. So the fact that I haven't got a GH5 really surprised a lot of people, you know, especially that I shoot with. They're like, whoa, like you're not bringing your Red on this trip? Like what's happening? You know?
So a lot of people, it's funny because as I told you on the last episode, I had mentioned that I'm going to wait to Cinegear. Yep. So as soon as I post that I picked up the GH5, the first thing people start messaging me is, I guess you couldn't wait till Cinegear. Like, it got the best of me. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. I couldn't wait till Cinegear. And you know what? That is Sony's fault. Sony's fault for taking too damn long. They only have themselves to blame. And I think a lot of people are doing the same thing because so many people have been waiting for the A7S III. There's no reason why it's been has it been over a year since the A7R III came out?
You know, I haven't been following the Sony stuff because I kind of had like the complexion. I was like, look, I spent my money on this Red.
Yeah.
That's the camera and I'm moving forward with that. And then the GH5 came in and I was like, whoa, you know what? I should have this as a backup. I should have it with me if I want something. This is a second angle camera also to have when I'm out shooting.
Sure.
And so I didn't really pay attention to the Sony stuff, to be honest. But I had a lot of people DM me before NAB and asked me to look into, you know, if Sony was announcing the camera, can I let them know, like if I see anything. And just like you, there's a lot of disappointed people that didn't get it.
Oh my God. Instead, they come out with a ridiculous version of a Mark II for the FS5, which everyone was like, what is this stuff?
Yeah.
It's the same camera.
Yeah.
They changed the one of the dials to black instead of silver.
Oh, man.
That's like all they changed. And they claim to have a better color science in there. It's just ridiculous.
Dang.
But it was definitely a worthwhile purchase because I'm definitely impressed, and I mean, they're gonna have to really impress me with the A7S III if that ever comes out, for me to even consider getting that camera. Because as of right now, I'm actually considering getting the GH5S, or the probably just the GH5S for that.
Now, have you seen specs on the new Sony, or is there rumors of what it does do, or is this just speculation that they should come out with a new camera?
You're talking about the A7S III?
Yeah.
Well, I haven't heard any. I mean, I've heard rumors, but when it comes to Sony, I mean, it's like hearing rumors from Apple. You know, it's they keep their stuff relatively close to the chest, and so I'm you know, it's really hard to tell what's true or what's not true, and I just don't get myself excited about rumors.
Yeah.
So, well, you know, I see here there's a concept for an A7000, which is, I guess, a step up from the 6500 with a flip out LCD screen. Wow. For the A7000. That's actually very different for an alpha camera. Very, very different. But no, everybody's loving the A7 III, which is still an 8-bit camera. There's just no way. I don't see it. I don't see them doing something better than a GH5. For sure, low light. Definitely low light. But you know, you have the GH5S for that.
That's why a lot of my friends prefer the Sony is just because of the low light situation. But I think you use the Metabones, you use better lenses. you win that low light that way also, you know.
Yeah, and you win back the space that you lose from the full frame to Micro Four Thirds, because I gotta say, I'm honestly, so I'm pretty sure, and I haven't measured this scientifically, but I'm pretty sure that that's giving me a full frame, or at least very close to a full frame angle, because that is when I put the 18 to 35 on that, it is wider than when I put it on my Super 35 camera, the FS5, with that meta bones. So
it's funny you say that, because I'm always shooting on red for the last 5 years, and now I've got an Epic W. So I have an 8K sensor camera, but I'm always shooting at 6K, so I can shoot at 60p for skateboarding.
Okay.
And when I switched over to the GH5, I went out skating. I put on the 24-105, and my mind was blown because I'm not cropped in. I'm not turning that 24 lens into a 50 plus. You know what I mean? So so when I got to a skate spot, I started shooting with it. I was like, whoa, I can get like this close now. I don't have to be so far back. And that was another reason I loved it, was just that I'm now able to use more of my lens, where with the red, I'm so cropped in going down to 6K.
I don't know, man. What do you think? What are you saying right now? What's the revelation?
I'm just for skateboarding, it makes more sense. You know what I mean?
But that's like that's the bulk of what you shoot.
Yeah, I know it's the bulk of what I shoot. I'll tell you this though, the Epic W for me doesn't make sense, but they're fixing that with the Gemini. The Gemini fixed all the issues I have with the red. Okay. I can't sit here and say that the GH5 could be my only camera, my main camera, and I can go shoot commercials and other things like that. I think the red still looks too good, but I struggle with the perks that the Epic W has, because they don't fit my needs. Right. Gemini, I think, will. I just have to switch over now.
Now, so is that a move that you've already decided you're gonna do? You're gonna
I think from what I hear, I think I can switch over for $5,000. Okay. And it's a lot of people look at it, they're like, wait, you're downgrading from an 8K to a 5K, but I don't think it's really downgrading. I think it's just apples and oranges. It's like, what do you prefer? Of course. And it's like, look, I can shoot a 5K, and I've always been a firm believer too that you own a camera until somebody comes to you and says, hey, we can't hire you because you don't have the newest and updated camera. You don't have this model.
Never.
Yeah. Ever. So there's no reason to go out. Everybody will like constantly upgrade every version that comes out. But if there's not a real true reason to, then maybe, you know, if you're on a budget. If you're a baller, then buy them all.
That's cool. Now, I mean, do you think you're going to be pulling out that GH5 much more frequent now than the red, or I guess until you make the change?
So. Yeah, I do think so. I think that just the whole filming on trips and like with the red and being like, oh my gosh, like this is a terabyte of footage and like, you know, it's such a short time. Like with the GH5, I love the freedom of just rolling, filming, and just being like, this can be, you know, this is a lot of footage and not that big of a file compared to what I'm used to. So it also depends on like who I'm filming, what project it is, and where we're at, you know. But if I'm going to Latin America for 3 weeks, GH5 was absolutely perfect.
Man, that's awesome. And you know what? I don't know if you ever had to deal with audio. That audio unit that you can get is, I think, it's like only $350 or $400. Something like that to add to it. It gives you 2 XLR inputs and full on with phantom power and all that stuff. Basically, you know, completely replaces my FS5. The only thing that it's honestly missing is the internal image I'm sorry, the FS5 doesn't have the internal image stabilization, but what I am missing from the FS5 is the internal ND filters. And that's something that was very valuable. But I think the image stabilization makes up for that. Yeah. And I mean, I don't mind having a few variable ND filters pop on my lens. I'll take that burden over having to, you know, dismantle my camera every now and then, and to get the 4K 60p at ProRes, I need the monitor, and with that monitor comes the batteries, and with those batteries, sometimes I have to put a V-lock on there to make sure it's all powered up. And
I've got. I wonder if I have it here. I think I do. Yeah. I've got a new adapter that goes to the GH5.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of cool too if you're shooting all day. So Core that does batteries and stuff, they made this thing called a Power Edge.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. So they announced this at NAB, and this is pretty cool because it's got your P taps here, and it's got USB, but this just basically goes into the bottom of your camera on the GH5. And then I've got a battery adapter too. So this can be kind of like your dummy battery here. This goes right into your GH5.
Sure.
And then this right here is going to run your power for the whole day. Instead of having a bunch of little batteries, if you just wanted to run this,
right,
you can power your GH5 all day, and you can power a light. You can power, I don't know, anything else that needs a P-tap, really, you know?
So, yeah, so that P-tap, I was talking to them about that. So those green P-taps, apparently they're making the smart.
Yep.
They're transferring more information through there, so you can see how much power, like right on your screen, how much. I guess the battery life or something like that.
Yeah, so I think it's called, like, I want to say maybe they called it intelligent port, something. But I think they're working with small HD, so you can now see everything on there with your GH5 and other cameras like that.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I saw. Cool. I was talking to them. That was one of the booths that I'm friendly with those people over there, so they're really cool people.
Yeah, they're awesome people.
Yeah, no, I got to meet all the faces of companies that I've actually done business with and stuff. So that was really cool to meet them. Like it was them and iCan and Small HD and Wooden Camera and all that stuff. So that was really, really cool. But yeah, is there anything else that, like, accessory wise or something like that about this camera that you've been looking at, maybe perhaps an add-on?
No, you know what? I really like the idea of keeping it compact.
Yeah,
I do like that, and even like that. I said that wooden camera cage. It's fully wrapped around the camera itself. It doesn't really like bulge out at all.
And is it not intrusive like that? Because, like, so for example, this cage here. I mean, I assume that cage allows the LCD screen to swivel all the way around and all that. Obviously, they wouldn't block that up, but I don't know. Does it feel good in the hands?
Oh, it's incredible. We got to get one in your hands. Like, I want to talk to one camera. I want to see an episode of you comparing it to that guy you got there.
All right. Well, I'm actually in contact with Wooden Camera. They were actually going to send me some stuff for the FS5, but maybe we'll veer that off to this camera.
Yeah, no, you need that cage. You know what?
So I compare that.
I post that. If I post my camera on Instagram, every time I post it, I get 2 or 3 people DMing me asking what cage it is.
Yeah.
And I'm not even like, they don't pay me. I'm saying, like, that cage is insane, you know?
All right. Well, I mean, if it's worth it, I might make the change there. Now, let me ask you: does it? It doesn't block the hot shoe mount on the GH5, does it?
No, it's got It does block it, but it comes with one on top.
Okay. Well,
it doesn't block it 100%.
Well, that would be. I would definitely have to see that part because, as I told you, that audio unit that the GH5 has, it works through the hot shoe mount.
Oh, okay.
So that's where the electronics go through, and that's something that's big for me because I do a lot of interviews and all that. So I need to make sure that I can get that audio.
I'm pretty sure you'll be fine if you just take the top handle off. And top handle off is just literally you just twist.
I'm actually not interested in a top handle. That's
there you go.
I have a side handle on this.
Oh yeah. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'm pretty positive you'd be good.
All right, I'll check that out, man.
Yeah.
You can thank Wooden Camera for that.
Yeah.
Oh no, Wooden Camera can thank you for that.
Yeah, I want to see your review on it. I'm curious because, dude, I don't know, man. I'm a fan of like products that are made good and solid, and that's one.
No, I love Wooden. Yeah.
To me, that's one that they nailed it on. That I was just like, I saw those guys and I was like, hey, thank you. You totally nailed it on this. And people don't know about the Metabones adapter thing, and I'm like, you got to tell people because that's huge right there, you know?
Right.
Such a good thought to put in there.
Did Wooden Camera know you were going to come on the show, so they paid you?
No.
Talking about this stuff.
I might have to invoice them now, though. So.
All right. Well, I mean, I think we covered everything. I mean, that I know that I guess that you have on the GH5. Honestly, I can't say enough about this camera. I'm so freaking impressed with it. And with that, I mean, who knows? Maybe the future. I'm looking at the Evo 1, but I'm loving being able to run and gun just with this, and it giving me the quality. I'm not compromising anything. In fact, it's making my job so much easier. And it's just that incredible. It's just that incredible. I mean, I love Red. I've shot on Red so many times already, and it's just one of those things. I'm not there in my career in a sense of like I just can't justify a purchase like that. You know, everyone's in different places, everyone has different clients, but for me, this is what really works. And man, I am definitely very happy with it. And with Atomos now, with they announced the Atomos Ninja V monitor, which makes a lot of sense. So it's this new monitor. All their monitors are 7 inches. They have 5 inches, but they're the older ones, older models. So they basically announced a new 5-inch monitor that is a Ninja V, or for 5, Ninja 5. And essentially it gives me all the it allows me to record externally with this. Aside from being a monitor, it gives me the 4K 60p in ProRes and all that. So it's really, really nice. And I think that this would be a perfect partner for that. It's a small little monitor that I mean, it's 5 inches and it's a 1000 nit display. I'm very impressed with the Shogun Inferno. I love it. For my FS5, it's perfect. But now I can attach that to this and get that, you know, higher quality coming out of that camera, which was always the plan, really. But I guess I got to see where that goes. What are your thoughts on the did you look into the ProRes RAW at all?
You know what? I mean, I saw it displayed over NAB, but I'm not all caught up with it with the updates and everything. And you know, I hope it jumps even over to Red. You know, like that would be amazing. So
that would be. I was wondering about that because I know people use. I've seen setups where they have the Atomos or the Odyssey 7Q Plus connected to a Red. I don't know how they work that out. I don't know. Maybe they were using it as a monitor only.
Yeah, maybe as a monitor.
Right. So I know because I've posted that before. Like I've seen the setups. I don't know the full details on that, but that would be really cool. It would be another alternative to your issue with the storage.
Yeah, you know, absolutely.
Because that ProRes RAW looks really. I've been looking at some test footage, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind that the details that there were shots that I've seen. You know, you would think that are crazy overexposed. The whites, the highlights are clipped completely, and they brought every single inch of that detail back.
Yeah,
and I was completely blown away. This is ProRes RAW. That's insane.
Good. That's exciting. It's exciting.
So we have a question here online from Liam asking if will it support ProRes RAW. I assume he's talking about the GH5. I doubt it because for ProRes RAW to actually to work, you need a raw signal, which I doubt. I don't think the GH5 doesn't give a raw signal.
So that's just not a codec that Panasonic can purchase and license from Apple or QuickTime, or
they do with the Evo 1, but the camera has to output a raw signal.
Okay.
So for that to happen, for you to get ProRes RAW, the camera has to output a raw signal. So
Red, it would work, right?
Right. That's why I'm assuming Red would work. But what the ones that they're specifically advertising are FS7, FS5, C200, C300 Mark II, the Evo 1.
So that's what Sony's been busy doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure because they're basically, I can actually record ProRes RAW right now.
Oh, okay.
On my FS5 because I have the Shogun Inferno, which I have done it. But currently it's only you can only edit it on Final Cut Pro 10, which I don't have. So I guess I gotta wait for Premiere to catch up. But let's see. It says Anthony is actually responding here, saying that, talking to Liam, saying the Evil One will be capable of ProRes with the Atmos Shogun Inferno, but not the GH5. Yeah, because you cannot. I don't believe you can give a raw signal through HDMI, if I'm not mistaken. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so raw signals currently go through SDI cables, not HDMI. From what I understand, I believe that's the case. So yeah, so ProRes RAW, amazing. The capability of RAW with the efficiency of ProRes. Come on, technology is really going somewhere, man.
Yeah.
Like, to see this image, and like you said it yourself, you know, you compare it with your, you know, $40,000, $40,000, $50,000 camera setup. To see the comparison, it's like
pretty damn close. Yeah.
My God.
Yep.
My God, that's insane.
Yep.
So it's definitely impressive. It's so impressive. I can't say enough about it. Like this, they should. We should definitely invoice Panasonic for this one episode.
We're gonna invoice Panasonic and Wooden Camera from this.
And Wooden Camera. They're in cahoots with each other. Come on now. So this was a great episode, man. Loved having you on. Want to bring you back.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
Bring you back. So once again, Mr. Chris Ray in the flesh here. We have him. Go follow him on Instagram. Is at Chris Ray Films, and go to chrisrayfilms.com to check out his awesome work. Shooting on the GH5 on the GH5, but the red epic weapon also.
Yeah, and we have a DC edit dropping on the 9th that's called a DC Lat Am Super Tour, and that's 100% shot on GH5, and there's some Super 8 footage mixed in, sprinkled in, but you'll be able to tell that's not GH5. But
gotcha.
100% GH5, and that's the edit and the trip I'm talking about from this episode.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all those links on the show notes for this episode. You can go and find that at the iFilmmakerpodcast.com. Check that out. Chris, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. It's always a pleasure having you guys from the West Side over here talking to the East Side. So, all right, buddy. So we're going to go ahead and end this episode. Thank you for everyone that joined in on this episode. Remember, if you didn't get this notification, go ahead and get subscribed on YouTube, iFilmmaker Podcast YouTube channel. We have a Facebook, we have Instagram, we have all that stuff. So check that out. Get subscribed, get notified every time we go online. So, all right, Chris, I'll see you on the next one, bud.
I'll see you there, man. Thanks.